Hi friends and welcome back. So today we will talk about habits. Habits are formed by repeating an action again and again till the time it sinks into our subconscious mind. And then we start performing them automatically without engaging our conscious mind. And it's a habit which actually determines our personality, it determines our character, and hence it determines our destiny. And we all are recognized by what habits we have. And we have various kinds of habits. To name a few, we just don't have our physical habits like brushing our teeth, driving the car, or learning a certain language and skills. We have certain compulsions also, like being a shopper, being a shopaholic, like gambling, or you may say overeating. All these are certain compulsions which are also part of our habits. And then we have certain addictions like smoking, drinking, or drugs. Again, these are very difficult to give up, but they're also part of our karmic habits. Certain people have investing habits, good financial or good money habits, whereas some people really spend money without even thinking about it. Then some people are healthy, some people are disciplined, some people have creativity. Everything in this life which we can do again and again, we can form it like a habit. And it's the aggregate of all these habits which actually define us, and it determines our destiny. So today we will be talking about how we form habits. How does these habits define our destiny? How does these habits define our temperament and our attitude? The way we think, the way we react to situations, it's part of our habit system. And thirdly, we will be talking about how are we born with certain habits which are called the karmic habits, and they come to us from our past lives. And fourthly, I will be sharing with you certain tools, a system, a process with which we can change all our habits, and primarily the physical habits like learning a new skill or learning to exercise, learning to read, learning a new language, everything which we require, and it's part of our personality. And also I will be sharing you 3 more tools in addition to these certain steps, how to change your deep-seated karmic habit patterns, which we all feel that I am like this, how can I change in life? But no, we are as free as God has made us, and we can change everything in which we pull our will and our determination. So let's understand how do we form habits. So as I said, habits is simply a repetition of an action till the time it gets engraved in our subconscious mind, and then we start performing it automatically. So let me help you understand this with an example. So I assume most of us and all of us have learned how to ride a bicycle, or when we learn how to ride a car. So to begin with, when we've never ridden a cycle, and the first time we see a cycle and somebody says, do you want to learn how to ride a cycle? So at that point of time, we are completely unaware of how to ride a cycle, what it is to ride a cycle, what all skills is required. And secondly, we do not even have those skills, what it's required, because we are not aware of how to ride a cycle. So at that first stage, we are completely unaware and completely unskilled. From there, when the first time we ride a cycle, at that point of time, we are still completely unskilled. We don't know how to ride a cycle, but we start getting aware of what all it requires to ride a bicycle. So we have to take care of the handle, we have to pedal, and we have to balance ourselves. And then we realize what all we need to learn. And from there, as we practice and move on, we start learning it, and we move on to the third stage. And at this stage, with our practice, with our concentration, we now know how to balance the cycle. We can pedal the cycles as well as take care of the handle. And we move on to this stage in which we are now conscious and we are skilled also. So we can ride a bicycle by being 100% there with full concentration, and we're completely conscious. And once we practice again and again, at that point of time, the conscious mind keeps sending all this information to our subconscious mind in our memory bank, or you can say it becomes part of our muscle power or memory muscle. And then we move on to the fourth stage in which we are totally skilled and we are unaware that we are completely skilled. And how do we ride a cycle at that point of time? We don't even have to really bother. We just start pedaling, and as you practice, you can ride that cycle without even touching the handle. So many people do that. Remember, another example was driving a car. How difficult was it when we were learning how to drive that car? We had to take care of that steering, that brake, the clutch, the accelerator, and the people around, and we had to maneuver the car. But today, when we have learned how to drive the car, who drives the car? With the power of habits, a subconscious mind drives the car. And then what is the conscious mind doing? Conscious mind is really listening to music. It's talking to its friends. It's thinking about where it has to reach, which meeting to go on, or from where we are coming, or what did I do in the last meeting. So this is the power of habits, and it helps us lead our lives so comfortably. Imagine how difficult it would have been if we had to spend the same amount of time which we had to when we were learning how to tie our shoelaces, or when we were learning how to tie our ties. It would have been so difficult. But today, when the subconscious mind and the habits can do all those things, a conscious mind is free to learn new things, to experience new things, and to enjoy the life. So how habits define us, and how does it determine our destiny? So as we've understood that by the power of repetition, we can learn any skill. You can learn computers, you can learn a language, you can learn any skill which you require, like public speaking or reading, simply by practicing it and putting in all the willingness and hard work which it requires. Also, we can learn and change our mental habits. We can learn to become or add certain expansive habits, like being more disciplined. That's also a habit. Being more concentrative in our work, that's habit. And being more hardworking and punctual. And we can also change certain psychological habits of being more positive in life, of being more receptive in life. And these, if we can change all these habits, we can really face any challenges in our life. For example, let's say a person is very disciplined, he's very hardworking, he's very creative, and he wants to learn. What do we call that kind of a person? We call him, he's so dynamic in his life, And generally when challenges come to such a person, he just doesn't give up. Those challenges are not able to push him back. Rather, he makes those challenges as stepping stone, and he comes out as a winner, and he learns further new habits. And at the same time, a person who's got bad habits, a person who's indisciplined, a person who's not punctual, a person who's not hardworking, he's generally negative in his life. His approach towards life is very, very skeptical. And when challenges come to this kind of a person, those challenges push that person further back into further bad habits. And generally you would see these kind of people, they get into alcohol, they get into drugs, thinking that they're really trying to get over their misery, but nothing changes for them. They get into a grip of very, very vicious cycle of bad habits. And all of our habit patterns is actually determined by the state of our consciousness. So our consciousness is what actually determines our thoughts. And whatever the kind of thoughts we'll have, that's the kind of plans we'll make for our lives. And whatever plans we'll have, that's the kind of actions we'll have. And repeating those actions will form the habit. And that habit will determine our destiny. And that's how it's formed. So, we have certain essentials in our life which the subconscious takes care of, like brushing our teeth, combing our hair, changing our clothes, driving the car, and which is very important. Let the subconscious mind do that. But rest of the things, do not get into the grip of habit. Use your conscious mind, because with the subconscious mind, we generally react. But with the conscious mind, we step back, analyze the situation, and we respond. And there is one more state which is called the superconscious state, which helps us to draw certain solutions, certain inspiration from life. That's the highest state of awareness within ourselves. And let me explain you this with an example. So let's say there is a musician, he plays the piano. So with practice, he's learned how to play the piano very well. And at that point of time, whenever he's playing, it's the subconscious mind which is playing the piano. And then what is the conscious mind doing? At this point of time, he can tune into his conscious mind and try to raise that awareness to tune into the superconscious state of awareness, from where he can draw a new music, a new inspiration, a new melody for himself. That's how important the habit is. That habit provides the foundation on which stands the conscious mind, and it can reach up to the highest state of consciousness to draw a solution. And many artists do that. And generally, you'll see a lot of people who really work with their habits. Let's say there is a banker, and he does not have any other aspect to his life except for his profession of banking. Over a period of time, by repeating that action again and again, he becomes like a banker. He thinks like a banker, he acts like a banker, he talks like a banker, whether it's with his friends or his family, and it becomes a very contractive life. Let's say a lawyer. Similarly, if he's totally engrossed in his profession, at the end of the day, we all are human beings and we come here to experience life, not just become a lawyer. We are not our profession. We are not our work. Our work should simply be a part of life and not our life. And the moment we can learn how to change our habits, really we can add so many aspects to our life to really experience this life to its fullest. So now let's understand what are karmic habits, which we call tendencies and inclinations. So as we understand that certain habits, by repeating the actions, we create in this present life. And at the same time, we are born with certain inclinations, certain tendencies, and these were actually a result of our past lives. So whatever situations, whatever circumstances, and at the end of the day, whatever consciousness we had at the end of that life, that consciousness carries itself and becomes part of the subconscious mind. And that's why we see certain kids have different inclination. Certain kids have inclination towards sports, certain kids have inclinations towards studies, and certain kids have inclination towards music, and many more. For some children, learning sports is such an easy thing because it's deeply engraved in their subconscious mind. They can just pick up any sport and they learn it very easily. Whereas the other child is really wondering, how does he pick it up so easily? Some children are good with music. They can pick up any instrument and they start playing it well with just little bit of practice. And this is how habits travel with us. And these are the habits, these inclination and tendencies which really determines all our present choices, our decisions, how we spend time, where our inclination is. So if a child has an inclination towards music, how much ever you force him to do science or maths, there will be no interest in him. He might be very intelligent because playing any instrument is not an easy task, but that tendency, that inclination is not there in that child. And we should really respect that, because these kind of inclination which are coming is part of the soul journey, and the soul really needs to learn certain lessons, or it needs to overcome that desire, because that inclination or tendency is traveling with him life after life. And also certain times certain children have negative influences, negative tendencies like anger, jealousy, greed, or lying or stealing. Nobody has taught them these negative things, but it's just come as an inclination. But we have the power to change all these past karmic habits. By certain tools which I will be talking about, we can change our life in the present, because we need to overcome those challenges which have come in from our past lives, and we can do it with our willpower, with our determination, and with certain spiritual tools, and we can change our life for the better. So now we come to the topic, how to change our habits. So the first most important thing is that we need to be aware that there is a habit which we need to change. And hence that's why we say awareness precedes change. And secondly, we need to have willingness to change that habit, because that process of changing will require certain amount of willingness, discipline and dedication from your side. Not much, but a little. And whenever we want to really change a bad habit, or we want to learn something big, we really get daunted by seeing that, oh my God, that is so difficult to achieve. But even if you have to climb the Mount Everest and you have to reach to the top, there is no other way but to take one step at a time. And I read this book, Atomic Habits, very interesting book, and I've taken a few examples from there, I've taken few techniques and tried to combine those teachings with the spiritual foundation which I read, a lot of books of Swamiji, a lot of his talks, and I have actually implemented all these techniques in my life. So I can really come with my own experience, how they worked with me, and I'll be sharing all of those experiences with you. So if ever you have a big goal, but try to imagine that we just need to improve 1% a day. That's not big, right? And at the end of the year, you will actually improve 37 times. If we compound that 1% every day, we will improve 37 times from what we are today. So I will be sharing with you 6 tools, or you can say 6 steps, which can change certain physical habits. We'll start with the physical habits, and then we'll talk about certain karmic habits, how to change them. So the first thing is, be specific in what you want to change. So most of us, on the first day of the year, we say, oh, I will start exercising from tomorrow. These are the people who never exercise. So when you want to decide that you want to become healthy, that's your goal. So your goal is that you want to become healthy. And now you need to be specific. You need to say what I will do, when I will do, and where I will do. So what you have to do is you have to say that I will exercise for 15 minutes at 7 a.m. in the morning in my drawing room, or I will exercise for 1 hour every day in the gym on my way back from work. So you have to be very specific, because you're not just really thinking about it, you're telling your mind what you will do. And try to make this statement, write it down, put it in words, because words have a very strong power. And put that on a piece of paper and stick it at various places. If it's very difficult for you to get up in the morning, then put it right in the mirror where you get up in the morning and see it. Put it next to your table, put it in your office. It should keep drilling. Again, if you see, I'm asking you to repeat an action that every time you see, it will become a reality for your mind that yes, this needs to be done. And it has to be a specific thing that I will do this at this point of time and I will do it there. And second, once you have done this, there is another concept which is called habit stacking. So if, let's say, for example, that you want to exercise for 15 minutes in the morning and you've not been able to do this for a long time. So stack this habit of exercising between a habit which you do automatically from your subconscious mind and a habit or something which you really like to do. So I know for most of us, we really like to see the mobile in the morning, say after 10-15 minutes of our waking up, or we want to read the newspaper. So what you can say is that I will do that exercise for 15 minutes at 7 a.m. after I get fresh in the morning or after I have my 1 bottle of water and before I see my phone. And you just have to be a little disciplined that I will do what I said to myself. And that attraction of looking at the phone and checking your social media will really help you to take out those 15 minutes, do that exercise, and then you can move on to the attractive activity which you wanted to do. And third is make a favorable environment for your habit, make it accessible and make it visible. So let's say if you want to get into the habit of reading, then keep that book right next to the place where you have planned to read at that point of time. So if you decide that I want to read that book after my breakfast or something, or let's say you want to read that book before you go off to sleep, make sure that you keep that book next to your bedside table, make it visible, make it accessible. And then one more very important thing is that try to collaborate all your habits with a very positive experience. Every habit which you do, you're doing to improve. Then study about those things. So let's say reading, it will add knowledge to you, it will add to your social skills. When you know all these things, it will really be like an inclination to inculcate that habit in yourselves. Let's say you want to clean your house, one of the most boring jobs, but then if you read about it, read a little bit of Vastu, do a little research, that cleaning the house gets positivity, it gets peace and it gets prosperity. When you have that at the back of your mind, you will really clean with a very different consciousness. Let's say you want to be healthy, read about health, it's not just exercising. Once you start exercising, you'll start to realize that you want to take care of your diet. You want to take care of your routine and everything. And that becomes like a cycle. It really becomes like a positive cycle, helps you do all those activities together and you achieve your goal of being healthy, which we set in the first place. So always remember, it's very difficult to achieve any goal. But if you make a process, you make a system, then it's not so difficult to follow these systems. And this is what we're doing. These 6 steps which I'm talking, these are actually the process and we just have to follow the process. And one thing or the fourth thing is keep it simple. So the most important thing, in forming a habit is repetition. So never keep a daunting task or don't make your processes difficult for yourselves. So if you plan to go to the gym every day, try to get a gym which is en route to your work or when you're coming back from work. It should be very accessible. It should be very simple for you to follow that practice. Otherwise, it does become difficult. It's like you're creating some amount of friction between you, your habit, and what you want to be. And as I said, consistency is more important. So even if you can't exercise for that 15 minutes or half an hour in the morning, but showing up because you said to yourself, even do it for 5 minutes. If you're really busy that day, just take out that 5 minutes, but stick to what you said to yourself. That repetition, that consistency, that showing up is what creates that habit. So consistency is really the key, or being persistent, consistent is the key to forming a habit. And you will not see immediate changes. When you are trying to really break a habit by doing something for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it can be a little disappointing in the beginning because you're really not seeing change. But the only key is stick to it. Just be persistent. And with this, we come to the 6th step of creating a habit tracker. Just, have a physical calendar, and every time you do that activity, just make a cross. It's a very satisfying experience when you see and increase those crosses, or you can take a jar and put a lot of pebbles in it, and every time you do that activity, like the habit which you want to inculcate, take out a pebble and put it in the empty jar. It's very motivating, it's very encouraging when you see your own progress. It's kind of that you are acknowledging yourself. Similarly, if you want to remove any bad habit of your life, you have to do almost all of these. You have to make a statement to yourself, write that statement. Let's say, for example, we want to quit smoking. So difficult for so many of us, So firstly, tell yourself that I will quit this habit on this date, say 2 months from now, and I will start reducing my cigarette intake right from today. If you're having like 10 cigarettes a day, make sure you just make it to 9 for the first week, and then make it more invisible, make it more inaccessible. Never buy a packet of cigarette. You can really, whenever you have that urge, buy one cigarette at one point of time. Make it difficult for yourself that every time you have that urge, you have to make that extra effort to go buy and then smoke. And thirdly, stick to it, that keep that tracker with you, that every day if you're able to reduce that one cigarette, whatever you've committed to yourself in 3 days or 1 week, make that cross that you've been able to achieve all those things. Let's say you have a habit of, so many of us, we have that habit of using the phone too much. Even when we're reading or we're trying to concentrate on some work, we have a habit, the moment it will vibrate or ring, we'll just check the phone, and then we go to so many other apps which we check. Keep your phone aside. Make it invisible, make it inaccessible, keep it in another room. So all these activities which you do, they also add to a very, very virtuous habit, which is you become disciplined and you become very concentrated. And then finally, don't give too much of attention to your bad habits. When you're constantly thinking about giving up something, thinking throughout the day, it'll really be part of your consciousness and it becomes more difficult to give up. So let me share this story with you. So Paramahansa Yogananda, as you all know, he was stationed in America and he had his center in Los Angeles. So there he met a Hollywood actor once, and that Hollywood actor was very keen to be initiated into Kriya Yoga. He came to Paramahansa Yogananda ji and he said, Guruji, I want to be initiated into this activity, but I'll be very honest to you. I have certain bad habits which I don't think I can give up because it's part of my work, it's part of my social circle. So can I be initiated? Paramahansa Yogananda says, of course you can be initiated. So Yogananda ji asks him, when you're talking about bad habits, do you smoke? So this person says, yes, Yogananda ji, I smoke and I really enjoy my cigar. Oh, you may continue doing that. Yogananda ji asks him, do you drink? He says, yes, I like my wines and drinks. I really like them when I go out. Oh, no problem. You can continue doing that. He said, anything else? He said, yes, I have habit of mixing with the opposite sex and I enjoy that also. It doesn't matter. Just keep doing that. But let me just tell you one thing. The technique which I'm going to give you, I'm not sure how long will you be able to enjoy all these things with this kind of technique. The moment you enjoy that inner bliss or inner self-realization experience, and he had a quote for this. So Yogananda ji, I'll read that quote to you. So Yogananda ji said, worldly pleasures will taste like stale cheese after experiencing the sweetness of God realization. You don't have to focus on giving up things. Seek higher reality, seek higher joys, and your old habits will cease to even interest you. And it's so important. So whenever we are trying to push out a negative habit, in your consciousness, it creates a vacuum in our mind. It creates a vacuum in our consciousness till the time we don't fill that consciousness with an equal positive habit. So if you want to quit smoking, and I understand every person who smokes, he exactly knows I smoke at this point of time, 4 times a day. At that point of time, eat something which you really like. Satisfy that urge little bit with something you like and try to remove that vacuum from your consciousness. Keep adding good habits, start exercising, start going for walks. As long as you'll keep filling your consciousness with positive habits, negative habits will just get out of your consciousness automatically. You will not even have to put so much of strain and use so much of willpower. Again, a process, follow it and you'll see the results. So now let's come to our karmic habits, the psychological habits of our tendencies and inclinations. How can we overcome them, or how can we change them? So these are deep rooted in our subconscious mind, and these are so subtle, but they're so powerful that we don't even realize that we have the power to change them. But yes, including all those things, 6 things which I spoke, we require 3 more techniques, tools, or you may say steps, whatever you may say, which we require to change these. And the first is the power of environment. So our environment is stronger than our own willpower. That's Paramahansa Yogananda used to say. So choose your environment. Choose the people you want to be with. Choose the people from where you can draw inspiration. People who are more intelligent, who are wise, who are more expansive in their life, who have faced challenges and overcome challenges. Be in their company. Environment really adds to your own willpower. It makes you more magnetic because it's an exchange of vibration with these people. Be in the company of people in which you see those qualities which you aspire for. And don't be in the company of people who already have those bad habits which you have. For some time, even if you have to move away from those friends, if you're trying to give up a habit, it's fine. You're really doing something for your own higher self. That's the most important thing. Create your environment. And second is the power of visualization and affirmation. I've had a podcast specifically dedicated on the power of visualization and affirmation. I'll share it with you right here. It's called Affirm Your Destiny, which I'm really telling you what is the power of affirmations and how affirmation and visualization can actually help you manifest a dream destiny for yourselves. So whenever you're trying to change a habit or give up a habit, try to visualize yourself getting rid of that habit. See yourself without that habit. And every time, affirm that reality. You can create your own affirmations. For example, I used to be really, really edgy some time back, and I still get edgy, and certain times I'm anxious, I think a lot. But there is a simple affirmation which I do every day. I just tell to myself, I'm even-minded and cheerful in all circumstances. And I close my eyes and I keep repeating that to myself, and I visualize that whatever made me irritable, I visualize that state again. I affirm this affirmation. I just close my eyes, visualize myself, and I repeat to myself that I will be even-minded and cheerful in that circumstance whenever I face them. There's a huge power in this. Make your affirmations like a prayer. Pray to God. God will really come to you if you are trying to help yourself. He will come and help you also. And third is learn meditation. Meditation, the immediate benefit of meditation is it helps you to develop certain virtuous habits. It helps you to develop concentration. It helps you to develop discipline. It helps you to become more expansive, more receptive. It makes you more receptive, and hence you can change very easily. No task will be daunting for you because you've realized your inner power. You've been able to control that energy, and then you can direct that energy to the task which you want to accomplish, to the habit which you want to change. That's the power of meditation. And with meditation also, it raises your consciousness. And as we said, if you have a high level of consciousness, your thoughts will be of very expansive in nature. Your plans will be very expansive in nature, and then your actions will be very expansive. They will be very, you will be full of gratitude. You will develop a habit of being happy at all times. And that is the most important habit. If you can be happy at all times at your own will, I think that makes you completely complete. And then you really don't require anything outside of yourself. You realize you are as complete as God made you. And remember one thing, never call yourself a failure. You may have failed right now, you may fail in future, but you're not a failure, you have yet not succeeded. Negative self-talk is really detrimental to your progress. And if you can really follow this process of changing your habits, you can learn these techniques. Trust me, you will be able to change yourself. You will become more expansive, more concentrated, more creative, and more dynamic. You will be able to achieve a dream and create that into your destiny. So, help somebody by sharing this episode with that person, whoever is trying to overcome this challenge. It's really not a difficult process. And I just want to wish you all, stay positive, stay inspiring, keep changing, be dynamic. This is Dhruv from The Conscious Way. Take care and be well.